Friends, let's settle in. Each of us in our own physical space, wherever we are in these moments that we're going to share together. But then collectively, let's settle in as well. And so I would invite you just to get comfortable. If you're seated, sit up nice and tall to the point that it feels right for you. If you're laying down, just kind of stretch out and begin to just find a rhythm of breath up and down the midline of your body as your eyes gently close and you begin to just settle. People will often talk about what's the right posture, how do I sit, how do I configure myself for meditation, and the most important thing is you need to be comfortable. And so whatever position you found yourself in, just find a version of that that feels right for these few minutes. Because our mind will try to distract us enough that we don't want the body to distract as well. So if it gets a little restless and you need to adjust, then adjust. But through all of that, just continue to allow the breath just to flow up and down the center of you. Just breathing in and breathing out at a pace and a rhythm that feels nurturing and comforting, but also vibrant and life-giving. And let's just take these first few breaths together to just notice what's going on in our heads. We don't just magically show up on this spot for meditation and all the thoughts just stop, but rather we come to this place of awareness. And so let's each, for just the next few breaths, just pay attention to what are those thoughts from today, from whenever. What is it that's trying to take up space in your mind and in your heart? And as you notice whatever thoughts are rumbling through your head, just be aware that when you get quiet and you get still, those thoughts will attempt to get a little louder. But the one consistent thing we have through this practice is the breath. And if you need to tell yourself, I am breathing in, I am breathing out, whatever you need to do to quiet the thoughts, give them less power and control, do that through the breath. Oftentimes, whenever we come together, I'll wait for a message or a thought to be laid on my spirit of whatever it is that I think that we need to share collectively. And sometimes that comes directly out of my own study, my own meditation time, and that is the case for today. So it was just yesterday, in my quiet time, there was a quote that was shared, and it has just really stuck with me over the course of the last 24 hours. And it's still sitting right there in my heart. And so I believe it must be words that I'm supposed to share today. It's simple, it's short, but it's so very powerful. So just listen to these words from Scott Tusa. He says, if we never work with uncomfort, we can never transform. Just listen to that again. If we never work with uncomfort, we can never transform. And I just encouraged us to get comfortable in our physical posture so that we can be okay with whatever uncomfortableness rises up within. Because sometimes when we sit for meditation and we get still and quiet, there's an uncomfortableness that comes up. Things are revealed in our thoughts and in our mind. Things bubble up in our emotions, in our spirit. But his words are so simple but so true, and they say that we've got to be okay with that uncomfortableness, because that's when we're going to grow. And so as I listened to that quote yesterday, and then it just kept sitting with me, I thought about our yin practice. And if yin is not something that you have experienced before, let me just describe it and see if this will resonate with you. In yin, we're asked to hold postures on our yoga mats for a long time. Many, many minutes. We get into these postures that have a focus, have a target area in our physical body. But really the target is much deeper than that. And we're told that the elements of yin are, first, the breath. You got to keep breathing slowly and deeply all the way through. The second element is time. You've got to wait. You've got to be okay with waiting. But the third element of yin is the discomfort. You've got to be okay with being uncomfortable with whatever part of the body it is that we're trying to bring healing to. And there's this very careful line between being uncomfortable and being in pain. And we're asked to maintain that line and not cross it so that we can be still. And so as I thought over the last several hours today, that yin practice is just like what happens in meditation. We come and we breathe and we hold on to the breath as an anchor. And we spend time. We know we need a little bit of time away from the busyness of the world to really connect to this practice. But that third element, discomfort. In yin, it comes in the physical body. In meditation, it comes somewhere else. We all have these memories. We all have these experiences. We all have these things, these scars that seem to pop up and put a little foothold in our life. And then whenever we least expect it, that foothold gets a little bit bigger, a little more powerful. And so then what we discover is we don't show up to meditation as often anymore because it's just too uncomfortable. But what Scott Tusa tells us in this quote is we have to be okay with the discomfort because that is where we're going to grow. I have my scars and you have yours. They're all attached to a story. They're all attached to a memory, to an event, to a relationship, to a trauma. But if we don't keep an awareness of the foothold they've tried to have in our life, they'll just get more powerful and we will never grow. And it's that part right there that breaks my heart to think of. We can't continue to give the foothold to the things that have hurt us in the past. We can't keep letting them get more powerful. We can't let them get louder. So we sit, just like we're doing now. And we're aware of the stuff that fills our mind. But we sit anyway. And we're aware of how it gets a little uncomfortable. But we sit anyway. Because this is where our growth comes. And so I'd ask each of us, what's the one thing that's causing you the most discomfort, the most disequilibrium, the most disharmony in your spirit right now? Don't make a laundry list. Don't bring up everything. Just what's the one thing that you can almost feel there's this door to your heart and to your soul, and you can't quite access it because there's something in the way. What's that thing? And so I would ask that if we each discover what that is, or maybe we're just open and willing right now, and maybe it hasn't come to your mind of what it is. But let's just sit. Let's notice the level of discomfort that we have, and let's breathe through it. And remember, our yin practice tells us you get uncomfortable, but you don't let it go to the point of pain. And so let's use our breath to keep us from crossing that line. Because the beautiful reminder is that the breath occurs in the here and the now. And the thing that's blocking the door to our heart and to our soul, it's from the past. Or it's a worry about the future. It's not here and now. The breath is. So let's just take a few breaths together, and then we're each going to just sit individually with our discomfort, our thing, but collectively we'll sit together as well and hold space and breathe. So take a deep cleansing breath in, and then gently exhale it out. And take a deep cleansing breath in. And exhale it out. One more deep breath in. Big breath out. And if a laundry list of more things starts to come, just let them drift away. Let's sit with the one thing for now. The other things can have another day, another practice, but today, what's the one thing getting in the way of you fully accessing this door to your soul and to your heart? One breath at a time. The beautiful part of that quote by Scott Tusa is not the first part when he talks about working with and sitting with uncomfort. The most beautiful part of that quote is the second part, the promise, when he says, this is where we'll find our growth. It's not a quote that I just read and thought that it had a good message for us. I believe it came to the person that sent it yesterday in a timely way that I needed it, because I've been sitting with discomfort for a while. And I'm hoping that the timing of it will be done soon. But that quote reminded me yesterday, this is part of growth. And then I looked around me and I thought, why is this person or this situation such a stumbling block for me? And then I realized when we are walking on a path and there's something in front of us that we know will cause us to stumble, but we keep walking that way, the fault is not of the stumbling block. It's back on us to realize we should have turned a different direction or paused and just stopped. So I know in my own personal practice, assigning blame is a really difficult part for me. It's the place where I'm working, where I'm aware, because I don't want these stumbling blocks to have this foothold in my life. I don't want them to keep me from accessing the fullness within. But it's so simple. I got to go a different direction, or I got to stop and just be still. That's what our practice reminds us of. We don't just keep doing the same things again and again. We show up here, we breathe, we get deeper awareness, and then we choose differently. And that is where growth comes. So my wish for you and my wish for myself is that we get a little more comfortable with sitting with the uncomfortable. Sitting with the thing, whatever it is. Because the more we sit with it, the less power, the less control, the less influence it will have on our lives. And it's from there that we will grow. Namaste.